Good morning, evening, or afternoon, whichever one's going on for you at this current point in time. Today we're talking about the OKEELNEY. What the hell is that? Well, it's the brand that makes this. This is a cordless pruner. Now, I was looking on the market to get a pruner. Again, I'm not a gardener or anything like that, but a lot of these branches come down, a lot of trees in the area, and my main concern, I guess I'll lay it down to keep it in shot, but my main concern was I've been using my M18 hacksaw. No shade to Milwaukee. It's a great tool. But when you have green or softer vines and things like that, they wrap around the shoe. And so it makes your reciprocating saw work harder to get through material. For pieces of wood, not a problem. But for vines and, tangly things, you want something that can shear, something that snips, something that cuts. And so the Dewalt version was $150. The Milwaukee on sale was $150. The rigid was over $200 with tax, and I believe the Ryobi brushless was also $150 or something like that. Crazy prices, not for something I'm going to be using once in a while when there's downpours like there was yesterday or a lot of wind or storms. This is what you end up with, in your driveway, in your backyard, in your porch, and, wherever you live, whatever you got. So I wanted to get my hands on something from Amazon, something a lot more affordable, and that's where I came across this one because I wanted to use the same batteries that I have. I'm on 8 platforms, and I don't plan on moving to another one anytime soon. So this one uses Dewalt batteries. The yellow one uses Dewalt batteries. They also have a red one that uses M18 batteries if you're on the Milwaukee line, and they have a blue one for the 18-volt Makitas. So if you're on the blue line with Makita, you can use that one. Again, same tool, just different inputs for batteries. With that being said, I have taken a minute to measure out just a few things that happened to be picked up from this morning. And really quick, these are 7/8 of an inch, right? These are 7/8 of an inch. These are 3/4 inch. These over here are inch, and this one right here is 1.25 inches, if I'm not mistaken. So pretty decent amount. Again, these are rated for 1.5 inches. Again, even the Milwaukee was 1.25 inches, so I wanted the maximum amount of cutting capacity. I just want to say this regular retail price was $50. I managed to snag it for $40, so I saved $10 during the Prime Day sale. And really quick, in case anybody cares, I like the fact that it comes with a backup blade or a replacement blade. It comes with a sharpening stone and the 2 wrenches you will need to get into here and change out the blade. I like that out of the box. You don't have to have an entire workshop and sockets and tools and things to be able to, maintenance it yourself. Part of that, it also came with a oil bottle. Now, for those of you who are confused and wondering, well, where the heck's the oil? This came empty. So these, when you get them, they will not have oil in them. I reached out to OKEELNEY and I said, yo, I didn't get any oil. They said it's safer that way because if there's any perforations or anything, you're going to have a whole box full of oil. So we omitted that. So it's not on them. They've already let me know that it wasn't a mistake. It's supposed to be empty. It's just for you to refill, which again, I have bottles like that I refill. This is Tap Magic. If you're cutting, drilling, sawing, I recommend Tap Magic, but little containers like this are awesome, and you can find them anywhere. So I'd rather use my lubricants anywhere. So I'll probably be putting some silicone lubricant in here because it's waterproofing, quick drying, and it also, does a good job of lubricating. And if you need to know how to change the blade or how to do anything, everything is in the booklet that's included. Even a breakdown of part for part what's going on inside your tool. I think for a $50 made in China tool, I mean, it's as straightforward as it gets for most people. Like, this is pretty dummy proof, so impressive. Also, huge thing is that one, it did come in a plastic wrap inside a box that has a foam cutout that is the shape of the tool. That is such a premium thing because usually when you get a Milwaukee box, you just yank the tool out, you throw the box away. I'm going to keep my tool in that box. That's nice. They also recommend that you do keep it clean. So grab a toothbrush, a cloth, little paint brushes. Make sure that when you're done using it, when you're cutting, keep it dry, keep it lubricated, and get all this, all the stuff that's outside. You don't want to leave that in your tool because that can cause problems later. So with a freshly charged 4 amp hour battery, you can see that, yes, fully charged. In order to turn it on, you're going to hold the trigger. You're going to hear a beep. You're going to press the trigger twice. It is now unlocked. Now, pretty straightforward. Not sure why you need an LED, because I don't know who's clipping in the middle of the dark at night. You know, it just makes no sense. But it is there. It is something to note. When you pull the trigger, it is going to move with you. So when you close it, you let go, it lets go. You push, it goes down. If at any point you let go of the trigger during the cycle, it will immediately back off. So if I accidentally tap the trigger and let go, bop, bop, you see how it pops back? As soon as I let go of the trigger, this thing knows stop and go back. Even if it's about to finish, I let go, at any point, it will stop. So if your finger, which your finger should be nowhere near here, but if your finger is somewhere here, it will back up if you let go of the trigger. Cool? So it is 1.5 inch capacity, it is 20 voltage, and it is made in China, right? It says lithium pruning scissors, and you can see the word lithium actually molded into the plastic. Now, here's where the cons start. Number one, OKEELNEY, you can see I took it out of the box, and this is how the adhesive already was. The label's peeling apart. That is something that you need to deal with quality control. I don't care so much for the sticker in the back, but if, again, take my word with a grain of salt if you want. Instead of lithium here, we know they're lithium batteries because they say lithium ion on it. That right there, put the word brushless. If you're boasting a brushless motor in 2025, we want to know that there's a brushless motor in here. Write the word brushless here. Same thing over here, brushless right there. And then that same molding, put your name, OKEELNEY, molded right into the plastic. If I can take a sticker, peel it off, and I don't know who made this tool anymore, it doesn't feel premium. So mold it in with the yellow, and then just paint the word OKEELNEY in black. And it's still going to have that black and yellow contrast. Same thing with Milwaukee if you want to make it red. Same thing with the Makita if you want to make it blue. But this thing is super reactive. Does what it's supposed to. I will say that as far as the trigger, if you have bigger, thicker fingers, you might feel a little claustrophobic here. So what I like to do is leave my finger kind of off to the side. There's a bit of a curve on the edge here, so on both sides. So I like that whether you're a left-handed person like myself or you're a right-handed person, which you most likely are, that it's almost centered, but there is a slight offset. So if you look at it, the blade is slowly more to the right. If you're looking straight down at it, the blade is more to the right. So do keep that in mind. But for what it is, it feels hefty. It feels like a very quality tool. If you grab the trigger and hold it, that's how you turn the tool off. It will always stay in the locked position when it's turning off. The only time it will stay open is if your battery dies in the middle of whatever's going on. So really quick before my phone decides to overheat again, with a 4 amp hour XC battery, we're looking at almost 14 inches. However, with a standard 4 amp hour, you're looking at about 12 inches. So again, pretty sizable tool. Just have a good corner for it. Also, it does have a button right here that will shorten the cycle. So if you need the full capacity, there's that. If you press the button, you'll hear an audible beep. I guess it went to sleep. All right, I woke it back up. If you press the button right here, you'll see that the green light is on. When you close and open it again, it will be at the half capacity. Just some kind of distinction. It's just a plus and minus on a button. So, you know, just a small detail, but you close and it's back to open, right? If I press the button, all you have to do is just close it. And when you let go, it's back to the shorter position. For smaller pieces like this, when you're looking at flowers, when you're looking at plants, they're going to have little odd pieces like this. If you need to make, 50 cuts like that, it clips it off, no problem. But you don't need to have that full 1.5 inch capacity, so you can make quicker cuts just by that shorter distance of cutting. Puts less stress on the motor and less time, right? Now, the Amazon page for this says 160 cuts per minute, or actuations, or rated frequency. However, the manual, if you look at it, says right there, rated frequency 60. So I'm assuming it's 120 in the shorter mode, and then when you have that full 1.5 inch capacity, you divide it by 2 because it is double the distance, so it would naturally cut the actuation time in half, or in this case multiply it by 2, depending on which mode you have it in. So I'm assuming that's what that is. So enough yapping, let's start scrapping some of this wood. We're going to start off with the smallest one and work our way up. So first we have 3/4 inch. No problem. Let me get you a light, make it a little more visible. But again, this is stuff that's been sitting out in the rain. And again, this is the half capacity, and it can still go through 3/4 pieces, right? No problem. This has been sitting out in the rain, so some people say the rain branches and rain wood is a little tougher because the wood is more hydrated. Other people say the dry wood is harder because there's less molecules that are, you know, the spacing of the water molecules makes the integrity of the wood weaker. We could sit here and talk about the science all the way, but either way, dry or wet, this is going to get it done. Again, 3/4 inch, no problem with the half capacity. So if we switch it to the full 1.5 inch, and yes, I did measure it to the highest point of the capacity. It is in fact 1.5 inches, right? At the lowest point, we're looking at just under 1 inch. So you still do have to get your wood piece a little more toward the entrance to get that full capacity, but that's not a problem because you're not down here with this trying to cut down a whole tree, right? It's just cleaning up your yard, cleaning up your garden, and that's what this does. 3/4, 3/4, 3/4. Now there is a bit of a twist, so it does go in, kind of twisting you with the blade going in the direction away from the scrap piece, or towards the scrap piece, I should say, away from you. And again, I am keeping my fingers well out of the way. So we know it can do 3/4. Let's not keep repeating that. Let's go for 7/8 of an inch. And it says it can do pretty quick, so right? If I try to put it away, it will kind of give you a more angled cut. If you're looking for a more straight cut, you're really going to have to hold this thing straight so that the tool doesn't naturally twist you, so you can get a more square cut if you want your garden or whatever to look a little more aesthetic. You do have to have a really good grip on this thing. Right? So that's 7/8 of an inch. This is 1 full inch. And you're going to say, oh, this is dry. This doesn't count. You need hard wood. Well, in my area, we got swamp oaks, pin oaks like this. So wet or dry, this is mainly what I'm going to be dealing with. So I want this to be practical. No, I'm not going to go importing trees from all over the world and growing them for the next 40 years to tell you whether or not this can do it. Relax. Right? Again, 1 inch. And again, if I stop myself by pulling off the trigger, even if it's halfway through, it will back off. So if you happen to have your finger too close and it hits your brain, when you let go, the tool lets go, right? So do keep your hands out of the way, but if you let go of that trigger, you are safe, right? Keep cutting. And again, this is going to do nothing to a 4 amp hour battery. You're going to have plenty of runtime. Brushless motors are way more efficient, so please, you need to show that off more. If you have a decent brushless tool, I think it said 26,000 RPMs, show that off. We want to see that. This is the highest capacity of wood that I have right now, but this is 1.25 inch at full capacity. Can it do it? And the answer is yes. Now it is making a higher pitch noise because of the type of wood that it is. But it is not the tool that's screaming like that, it's the wood. And just to keep my fingers out of the way, I'm not going to keep trying to make smaller cuts, but you get the gist of it. At the end, take a toothbrush like this, or you can get yourself an air dust blower with a little brush attachment, and just go through, make sure your blade is okay. Especially if you're doing this after rain, you want to keep the rain away from the blades because it will cause them to become rusty eventually. The blade does come with a black coating. However, don't rely on that, right? Use some quick drying silicone lubricant. I like the WD-40 Silicone Specialist, but again, this is not an ad. They don't tell me this. This is just what I use. It's waterproof, it's quick drying, and it protects against rust, and it's for multiple surfaces. So if it happens to touch the plastic or touch the metal or touch anything, it's going to be okay. It's not going to start staining or messing up your materials. Sound good? With that being said, as far as the pros, I love the price. I like that it comes with a little lanyard in case you're up on a ladder or doing something where you need to tether it so it won't fall. That's cool. As far as the design, as far as everything, again, you just take it, squeeze the trigger, and it beeps, and it is now off, right? No light, it's good. So it's sleeping. So what can I say about the tool that is good? The price is good. As you can see, the work speaks for itself. This has a 2-year warranty, which is so impressive for a random Chinese company to do. I think that's awesome. 24 months, anything happens to it where there's a defect, you reach out to OKEELNEY and they'll take care of you. Super quick. They responded to my message on Amazon within like less than 24 hours, which I think is freaking awesome. And as far as that, for pros, I mean, it's a solid tool. The handle is a little warm, but again, when you're going through the capacity of 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, any tool is going to warm up as it's doing more work. So that is going to give you, with a 4 amp hour battery, probably 1,000 cuts. 4 amp hour battery, 5 amp hour battery is going to give you probably 1,000 cuts or more. With that being said, what can I say as far as cons? Cons, I would like to see some kind of indication of whether I'm in the big mode or small mode without looking at the blade. And obviously having to buy replacement blades is something I definitely looked into. As you can see, OKEELNEY replacement blade, also made in China, yes, of course, but they do have backup blades. So if yours ever goes bad, you can hook it up with a new one. I think it's awesome because it's not just like, oh, well, my blade is sharp or my blade broke, so I have to buy a whole new tool. Nope, they sell replacements. All right, not a Ryobi video, but I just got done doing some landscaping stuff, string trimming, blowing and stuff like that. And apart from that is sometimes you got to clear out some debris, sticks, branches, things that come down from trees in the area for people. So when that happens, I use my blower, nice and clean. My tip to you, Specialist silicone from WD-40, but use the little oil bottle that they use to put some of that in there. Remember, this is pressurized gas that is in here. So when you squeeze it into this little bottle, remember, there's pressure that's going to build up in here. You cap that off. When you tip it over to put your lubricant, it's going to start spraying at a higher pressure because you're putting just as much pressure from here into here. All right, couple of drops, nothing crazy. You see how it's coming out in drops? That's once the pressure's gone. So once you put some of this in here, leave it open and let it breathe. Once all that pressure is gone, you're left with all of the lubricant with none of the pressure. Sound good? If it's on, you're just gonna use that mechanism to work in the lubricant. Make sure any parts that are not getting lubed get lubed. Same thing on both sides, right? Any of that dirt, crust, grime that gets in as you cut, blow all that out. That's not good. If you notice it's really packed in there, take this apart, clean it up, and then add your lubricant. If you start putting oil with all that crap on it, it's just gonna stick. So clean it first, dry it off, and then add your lubricant, whatever that may be. Also, this is not rated for pipes. I know that there are people in the M12 pipe shear video that were like, can it cut copper? Can it cut stainless steel? Can it cut? No. Stop it. Get some help, all right?
Stop it. Get some help.
This is not for cutting through 2x material. I have some 1x material here. Let's show you what happens. Yes, it can cut it. Why? Because it's wood. Of course it can cut wood. Why are you trying to cut studs with this? Go get a circular saw. Go get a jigsaw. Can it do it? Yes. Is it going to stress it out because it's not the right dimensions? Yes. If you're cutting little pieces, then yeah, it's going to cut through it. It may take more than one cut just because of the composition, but it's going to do it, all right? This is 1x material. Cool? It cuts it. Should you? No. Right tool for the right job. Go prune your garden. Go do something with hedges or bushes or trees or flowers or something. That's what this is for. All right, putting on a dead battery or a low battery, this light turns red. So that's the point of that indicator. This button is for changing the modes, but it has nothing to do with that light. That light is just to tell you whether you have an almost dead battery or a charged up battery. So I just cleaned it off and added a little bit of lubricant, but you can see that the black coating that is on the edge of the blade is already coming off. Same thing on the other side of the blade. There is the removal of that coating, so do keep that in mind. Keep these sharp and definitely keep them lubed up so that they don't start rusting prematurely from any water that might still be in whatever you're cutting. So side note that I was kind of like pushing on this thing with pretty hard wood for what it was. It was stalling a couple times. I did notice a little bit of I did notice a little bit of dripping by the trigger. So I'm assuming that's a little bit of oil or grease from the motor inside that's kind of leaking out. Just make sure any dirt that's around the side, you don't want that getting near the motor. So clean it and keep this little piece dry right here. Now the main thing with tools like this is obviously you're going to sometimes come across a wood that is either too hard or is not the right diameter. And if that's the case and you have like 2-inch, which again, this is 1.5 inch capacity, but if you need to get through a 2.5 inch piece, go at it in pieces. Just kind of go around the circumference, pick apart everything, and just kind of break it up until you start edging toward the middle. You don't want to sit there and all or nothing this, because it will over time, you know, have an effect on the anchor or the anvil and on the shear itself on the blade. So we got some hardwood here. Let's see what happens when you try to give it more than it's rated for. So this is at the full capacity. All right. So right there, you see how it backs out? It makes a wow, like a wow sound, and it's letting you know, like, dude, this is not what it's rated for. Now, if you were to go at it from the edges and break pieces off, you can see that it will eventually get through. You just have to be patient, and eventually it will get through. But you don't want to force it. All right, just pick at it little by little. So it says lithium pruning shears. This is much better if you just put cordless pruner, and it shows you the diameter. I do like stickers and labels that show information. Again, made in China, that stuff like that. Just better adhesive and a better label, and just put cordless pruner. Lithium pruning scissors. I understand sometimes with Chinese companies, they'll just take whatever they're trying to sell, put it in Google Translate, and then copy and paste it. So we know it's lithium. Again, it's our battery. We know it's lithium, all right? Just put cordless pruner and then put brushless right here and really push that it's brushless. The Dewalt is not, so you're already one step ahead of the game. Now let's talk about runtime. Yesterday I did an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes of cutting with this, branches that were between 1/2 inch and 1.5 inches, 2 inches, somewhere through there. And after an hour and 40 minutes, with probably 5 minutes of that being me picking up the sticks and putting them into secure little bundles, just 3 to 5 minutes of that. So the whole time was just like cut, and then I was making bundles for somebody to use for burning. They burn the branches and then throw them into the garden, into the plants and flowers. It's nutritious. So if you're a gardener and such, use the ashes. If you have loose, dead leaves, if you have anything like that, throw them onto your bushes, throw them onto your soil around your flowers in your pots, and it's going to do some good for your plants. The guy that I was doing it for, he has a green thumb. Like, dude, just anything he touches, anything he plants, just grows, and it's healthy, and it spreads and blooms, and it's nuts. Anyways, this can get it done, and this is the same battery. Have not charged it. It is still a 4 amp hour that is full and ready to go for anything. So I will say that because the 4 is heavy and this thing is a lot more bottom heavy, go with the 1.7 amp hour power stack or the 2 amp hour Dewalt, or those little black 1.3 amp hours. Those will work too. Something to keep this a little more balanced, because obviously runtime is good, but I don't doubt you can probably get 1,000 cuts out of a 2 amp hour battery. So depending on the diameter, but for general purpose stuff, slap a 2 or a power stack 1.7. It's going to give this thing the energy to get through harder material while also being lightweight. One thing I will say that I don't like that this thing doesn't have, that the Dewalt and the Milwaukee do, is that when you turn on your tool and you're done using it, right, when you're done, they stay in the closed position, which I like. The Milwaukee and the Dewalt have a cap that keeps this thing covered. If this happens to be somewhere and you drop it on your foot and you're wearing sandals or flip-flops, it's not going to be a good time. So maybe some kind of little plastic cap or rubber cap would make this, especially this edge right here, make it a lot safer, right? Again, know where you're putting your tool and don't be stupid around it, but a little safety precaution like that costs practically nothing. So all you need to do, engrave your name right here in the molding, put brushless here, and I don't know, maybe get rid of the light up here. Really, there's nothing I can say that's bad about this. What I will say as a personal side note, and I'll wrap it up here, is this thing is very bottom heavy with the battery, and for a big head like this, it's definitely lighter up top. So in order to avoid strain and having to keep your wrist straight, try to keep a neutral position and kind of bring the whole tool to the material you're cutting rather than reaching for it. It's going to put a lot of stress on the thumb, on your wrist, on your bones. So I do think they definitely have a solid tool here. What I will say is 2 years of warranty is awesome. A third of the price of what the Dewalt will charge you. That's freaking awesome. With that being said, you have yourself an excellent day. Do not be afraid of some of the clones out there or anything that use your tools. I was kind of discouraged with the D-Force Dewalt battery fan because it was pretty disappointing. But this one seems to be a step in a better direction. Is it going to be bulletproof? No, don't abuse it, beat the heck out of it, but will it get the job done? Certainly. I will definitely let you know if anything happens to this where it quits or it stops working, and we will also see about the warranty if the warranty should be needed. But keep it clean, keep it safe, and work smart.